Hello, everybody. Royce Eddings here, and my co-host Bruce Collin,
Hello,
and
everyone.
the R&B show, Ron and Bruce. You go check these guys out, man. You're going to want to subscribe. They've got a great show over there, the R&B show. Anyway, and we have a whole bunch of people also in the chat here with good shows. I've been visiting Man of Many Voices. I love Caitlin's show, and Chris Elliott, Zep Pearl. Zep Pearl's got a great show and helps out a lot on some other shows as well. So anyway, folks, tonight we're going to be talking about iconic recording studios. And I'm trying out a new mic today. I'm not sure I'm going to like this. It's pretty awkward, but it's right in the way of my keyboard and stuff. And it's new headphones I just got for Father's Day. So we'll see. We'll see how this turns out. Wasn't having any problem with the other stuff, but I was hoping this upgrades things a little bit as far as the sound and stuff. So anyway, we're going to be talking about iconic recording studios, and recording studios have been a key part of the music industry, providing artists with a venue to for their apply their craft, create timeless works of art. From Abbey Road Studios in London, where the Beatles recorded so many of the most iconic albums, to Electric Lady, not Electric Lady Land like I thought it was, but Electric Lady Studios in New York City, which was made famous by Jimi Hendrix groundbreaking recordings there. Recording studios are an integral part of the history of the music game, and today we will explore several iconic recording studios from around the world that help shape modern music. Is what I'm trying to say. Hey, Bruce, do you have like a favorite recording studio or one that really stands out to you?
Of course, being a huge Beatles fan, and with Pink Floyd being my second,
Yeah,
very closest favorite, it's got to
right.
be Abbey Road Studios. I mean, it still blows my mind to
Yeah,
think that
right.
those catalogs were recorded. I mean, that's holy ground to me.
Right, right. Well, you know what? I'm gonna put a link up here, folks, in the chat, and I'm going to say that anyone that wants to join the show, hit that link and come on, spend some time with us, and talk about iconic recording studios with us. I'm going to start out number one. Sun Records, Sun Studios in Memphis, Tennessee. There's an interesting aspect to Sun now. They have a tour that they take you on, and during the day, it's actually open for tours. And I'll go through that a little bit. It's known worldwide, Sun Studios, as the birthplace of rock and roll.
Oh yeah.
It's a discovery location of musical legends, genres from the 50s. Okay, Zep Pearl.
What's up, guys?
How
How
you
you
doing,
doing?
brother? How you doing, brother?
Good.
Good to see you, man.
Real good. Real good. I got the night off from the Vinyl Archivist show, so I can finally jump in under. It's a Sunday night's a busy stream night,
Oh yeah. Well, we're just going to talk about iconic studios.
Yeah,
And
I heard you say Sun Studios, and that's perfect timing because I got a lot to say about it.
Okay, good. I'll just go through a little bit here, and then I'll open it up to you. So, okay, it's a discovery location of musical legends and genres from the 50s. B.B. King, Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis. Speaking of Jerry Lee Lewis, folks, I happen to have, this is my better of two copies of this Jerry Lee Lewis album on the Sun label.
Yeah, I have the same one.
Yeah. Oh, do you? Yeah, they're still around. Okay, so all right, founded by Sam Phillips in 1952, this small studio became a hub for rock and roll pioneers and remains a popular destination for aspiring musicians today. So today, their goal is to spread the story of Memphis history, culture through the music that put us on the map. But the bottom line is they have a tour today. They have a tour guide will tell you the inside stories of B.B. King, Howlin' Wolf, Ike Turner, before Elvis, Johnny Cash, Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis, Roy Orbison were all drawn to the new Sun sound. Priceless. So when you come to the tour that they have now, you see priceless memorabilia from the musical legends that blended blues, country rock music to explode. The Big Bang Theory, right? How the universe was formed. It explodes into the Big Bang of rock and roll. all those emerging genres. Hear the voices of musicians that still haunt the studio as you listen to outtakes from recording sessions and energy of the music created there. So the studio opens up for 45-minute guided tours every day from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. When do they record? Well, okay, well, the tours are like $15 for adults, $13 for students, $10 for kids, any time of the day. Okay. And they don't begin recording there, which they still do until later in the evening, nightly, starting at $200 per hour. So Zepp, what do you got on Sun Studios?
Well, I'll segue into that. I have taken the tour. I've been there.
Good. Oh, outstanding.
Still have the ticket from it. This was on the 50th anniversary, so
That's great.
2002.
Very cool.
And it's exactly kind of how. Now, when I went, it was just before they kind of put a lot of the pictures on the wall, so
Right.
it was still kind of plain looking.
Okay.
And like you said,
Okay.
they do have like a little museum where they had all like original boards and all this kind of cool memorabilia, artifacts and everything. But what was really cool about it was the way the tour guy set it up.
Okay.
He you go in the studio and you see the glass and he lays it out to you. He goes, you got Sam Phillips behind the glass. You got there's
Nice.
a stand-up mic. There's a little taped X on the floor. Elvis is standing here. You got guitar. You got bass guys are over there, and he does like it just goes. He's pointed at he says Sam Phillips just kind of points at Elvis, and then he hit the tape player, and then you hear what was that? The first song, Kentucky Woman or something like that, or
Kentucky Woman.
it just escaped me too. But you hear that the Mystery Train or whatever song that came on, and I just was like, it just really because he laid it out and it just gave you that picture in your head,
Right, right.
and it just kind of gave you a really chill. But it was such a it was such like a religious experience to me. I mean, if I can't explain anyway, where it was holy ground. That was it.
Man, I would love to be there. So is that
great tour.
Do you live anywhere near there, or were you just
No,
out on
I'm in
vacation?
Chicago. I'm in
Chicago.
So I was on
Okay,
vacation there. We did the whole Sun Studios thing and Graceland and everything.
Awesome.
And I do have a couple Sun 45s and Jerry Lee Lewis, a lot of just
Jerry
basically
Lee Lewis, yeah.
Jerry Lewis and Johnny Cash stuff. I don't have anybody else, but there were so many artists that were on there. But it was just such it's just out of. I mean, it just really just blew me away. I mean, it was just when you say favorites, Sun Studio comes up to me. Yeah, that's just where it all began.
Well, it's really iconic. I mean, it really is. It really is kind of the top of the heap.
Yeah,
I remember it too with when it was in the movie in Rattle and Hum when you two go there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they play, they do the B.B. King song in there and stuff.
Right.
So it was after that. So I also had that too. It's okay. I remember seeing this in the film because I went it was 50th anniversary. So what, 2002, I guess. So all that was kind of in the head too.
God, that's great. That's outstanding.
It was just an intense thing. But yeah, I got some of the 45s here because I saw you were talking about studios. But a whole lot of shaking going on. Jerry Lee Lewis.
Nice.
I
love that label. You pull that.
Yeah,
label out.
they had this label. This was like the main one, and they numbered them all. There's so obviously collectors go try to get all these little numbered ones. But then a little later, the label kind of changed, and it had these rings under it. This is Johnny Cash, Get Rhythm, and I got some full albums here too. But Sun Studios was just
the same thing.
Fantastic. Here's like one of the early Johnny Cash ones on Sun.
Okay, yeah, and those are the people that were on Sun. I mean,
I think
even artists.
I want to say Roy Orbison did something on Sun.
Roy Orbison definitely did stuff on Sun.
They had the I believe the piano was in there from the $1 Million Quartet session where that photo's taken.
Oh yeah.
And actually, with that photo, there's a woman, a blonde lady that's in it, and they usually crop her out. So they just cropped. They had the four of them, but there's a woman standing like on the other side of the piano. So I think they showed that in there. That's how I learned about that.
Okay, the quartet. Let me see. It's Johnny Cash. Was it Elvis? Roy
Carl
Orbison.
Perkins.
Okay, Perkins.
Carl Perkins, Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Elvis Presley.
Okay.
Am I missing one? Yeah.
No, you got it right. I hadn't thought about that in a long time.
Yeah, Carl Perkins too recorded there too. So
right. Outstanding. Well, the next one I wanted to bring up was Abbey Road Studios in London. Perhaps one of the most, maybe the most famous recording studio in the world. Abbey Road has been associated with some of pop's biggest artists, including, of course, the Beatles, Pink Floyd, Kate Bush. It's here the Beatles recorded their masterpiece album, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, in 1967. Anybody got anything they'd like to add on Abbey Road as we're going through here?
Well, I mean, like you said, iconic. Brought up
Yeah.
Pink Floyd doing Dark
Yeah.
Side of the Moon there.
Right.
You know, being a Zeppelin fan, I don't know if they did any work there, but I know Glenn Johns worked with Zeppelin after he did the just before the Let It Be sessions, I think, or just after. But yeah, I mean, that's, you can't forget Abbey Road.
And it's
Right,
crazy to think
right.
while Pepper's being recorded, you have like the very first incarnation of Floyd doing, Piper at the Gates of Dawn roughly around the same time. So it's just, it's mind blowing really to think of the talent that has passed through those halls.
Yeah, and you look back at the
Just-
equipment.
just
If you look at
amazing.
old footage of the equipment in there, and you're like, that's what they put it on. It's just amazing. You know.
Yeah. We've got a lot of great people joining us here now. Zepp, have you met Bruce before?
No, I don't.
Up
I've
above-
never been on
okay.
screen. Obviously, I've watched the show, but
Oh,
I knew
okay,
Bruce.
good, great.
And
Yeah.
fellow Chicagoan too.
Okay.
I
all
just
right.
want to say to the folks in
meet
the
up.
chat, both these guys have great YouTube channels, as do so many people in the chat. Just to name a few, Just the Facts Man, who I was hoping was going to be here co-hosting tonight, but he hasn't been feeling all that well. And Dave, the
Hi,
hip-hop
Dan.
artist,
Hope you get better, buddy.
Man of Many Voices, I've been stopping in whenever I can, and Caitlin, of course, our own Caitlin Stoddard, I always call her. Her show is just exploding. So anyway, okay, so we'll move on. How many of you guys have heard of the Hansa Ton Studio in Berlin? Located on the banks of the River Spree, Hansa has a rich history as an important recording space for artists such as David Bowie, U2, Depeche Mode. The studio is renowned for its natural acoustics and unique atmosphere, making it one of Berlin's most iconic studios. So
Yeah,
again, a lot of people.
where
pass
Bowie
through
made the
this.
famous the Berlin trilogy albums. You know, the what is
Okay.
it? I believe Low. I'm not big Bowie,
Yeah,
expert, but
And of
there was
course,
there's
that-
three big
that-
Berlin albums.
Yeah, and that's
Right.
what drew U2 eventually, and of course U2. They struggled through those early sessions for Octung Baby there as well before
gotcha.
having to get out of there. But
Okay, so the next one I had on my list was Sigma Sound Studio in Philadelphia, founded by pioneer R&B producer Joe Tarzia. Sigma was a key part of the Philly sound that dominated the 1970s. Artists such as Hall & Oates, The Stylistics, recorded some of their most successful albums as Sigma. I'm not that familiar with the Sigma name, but it sounds like they've been around for a while, and it says they dominated the 70s. So that's interesting.
Well, probably that Philly R&B sound that came out of there.
Yeah, right. And then, of course, let's see. We have Electric Lady Studios in New York City. That was the one built by Jimi Hendrix in 1970. Electric Lady is one of the most famous recording studios in New York City. The studio was designed to capture Hendrix's unique style and has been home to some of the greatest names in music, including Stevie Wonder, John Lennon, and Prince, of all recorded at Electric Lady Studios in New York City. One that I didn't put on my list, and I'm not sure why, because when I was in London, England, it's been about 4 years now, we kind of went on a little rock and roll tour. We're trying to tour the various sites that had to do with rock and roll, and visited, what was it, Carnaby Street, where Jimi Hendrix and the Beatles and everybody used to go shopping for clothing and all this kind of stuff. And we stopped at Trident Studios. I mean, they were closed. There's a big plaque on the wall. Bowie's name was on it. And I took some pictures of it. I should have loaded one just for the heck of it to show it. But anyway, so that was interesting. So we toured a lot of places, and it was a fun time. We went to the flat that was owned by Harry Nilsson, that both, and he used to let his friends stay there. One of them being Mama Cass, who actually died at that flat, and the other one, and and amazingly, Keith Moon, the drummer for the Who, also died at that flat.
I'm sure rentals skyrocketed after that. Then, huh?
Right. And and next, and I'm not trying to make light of this, but it's just part of the story. Next to the bed where Mama Cass died was a ham sandwich, but there hadn't been a single bite taken out of it. She didn't choke to death eating, and people like to bring that up because she, was a couple of pounds overweight.
Myths.
Yeah, right, exactly. Okay, let's see. What is Dan just the fact saying? I have a great smile, but speak with the list temporarily. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that, bro. We hope you get back to top form soon because we're kind of missing you here on the show. Everybody keeps asking for you, man.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to your return, Dan.
Yeah, yes, we're holding our breath, man. So we got John, the music nut here.
Somebody mentioned
John.
Olympic Studios, a place that Zeppelin used many
Oh,
times.
okay. Nice.
I mean, it's a testament to all these places. They're so we keep using like hallowed ground and kind of thing. They're so part of the mythology of this music we love. And so much so that a lot of these places have their own dedicated documentaries, full-blown documentaries.
Yeah,
that's right.
The segue to that and what you just said there, Bruce. It's in that Sound City documentary where Dave Grohl talks about that mixing board, the Neve mixing board, right? And he says that is a part of the album, that you don't think about, but that went through that, that gives it that sound, right? So it's just as much of a part of the record and those iconic songs and everything. And I thought when he said it, I thought that would go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because it's so important, and you forget about that with the studios and how important those rooms sounded or the equipment they used.
That's right.
So it's definitely part of that.
Yeah, I mean, when Abbey Road started selling off some of its old analog equipment, the first person they would go to was McCartney, and McCartney did snap up a lot of that stuff for his own studio too. So it really does speak to what that the setups were in those places, and that old analog gear.
Wow.
I mean, it's the same thing like with the stereo system. It kind of has its own sound to it. It's you get
right.
So the boards and the way those rooms are set up, acoustically and the electronics and everything there, the way the mics are using, it all has something to do with it.
Right. Yeah, we did a show recently, Zepp, on the Fillmore East. And the way Bill Graham had set that up with the acoustics and the sound system, and it was just a perfect venue. There was like over 50 live recorded albums made in the 3 years that it was there. 50. Yeah, that's an incredible. And some of them were released many years after they were recorded. So it's like they're still coming out.
Yeah, it's definitely a historic venue.
Yeah. We did a couple of shows on that. It was a fun topic. We've been covering a lot of this kind of stuff. Laurel Canyon. In fact, I want to let everybody know next month I've already bought the ticket. I'm going to be touring Laurel Canyon with the one and only groupie author of the book I'm With the Band and many other books, and actress Pamela Des Barres.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's a great book too.
Yeah.
She has a lot of stories.
Yeah. So I get to tour my wife too. We're going to tour Laurel Canyon with Pamela Des Barres. She does.
So is that what she's doing these guided tours and stuff?
Yes, she is.
Oh, I'd do that.
Yeah.
So cool.
Hope to get to talk to the guy that owns the store too, the store there at Laurel Canyon. He's quite a character. I've read about him and stuff like that. He'll be out front with the Stratocaster with his knee up in the air and all this stuff, and he's met everybody that comes and goes up there and stuff, and people that have lived there in the past, and that would be a lot of fun just to talk to him too. So I don't know how any of that's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
She maybe she won't want anybody to take her picture. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe the meter's running when you're talking to her. I have no idea. But we're gonna find out. Any way it goes down, I know I'm gonna enjoy it. And I'm really looking forward to it. I've read a lot about her. I've seen her pictures, and it just looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
She
And
seems down to earth, like she'd be good company.
yeah, exactly. And she takes you in a
Yeah.
van. Takes you in a van. Someone else is driving. She's either turned around or sitting in the back with everybody talking. And
Take you up and everything. Take you to the general store and all that.
yeah, no, I'm just really looking forward to it. Sometime next month in July. Yeah.
That should be fun.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. I hope to make a show out of it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just seeing those places alone.
Exactly.
Speaking of studios, you go by Frank Zappa's home studio up there, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be excellent.
His house is
That would
still
be
there.
excellent. I won't wonder if that. I think the store probably sells maps, that shows where different people used to live and things like that. If they do, I'll definitely get one. He's got a lot of memorabilia in there because I've watched some shows on him.
You seen the film Echo in the Canyon documentary?
Yes,
Seen that?
yes, I
yeah.
have.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Yeah.
There we go. Mixed up. Hey, Michael. We've been waiting for you, man. I sent a couple of messages to you on your last video, and I'm just now going to put a link up, and hopefully you can. I just put a link up. Hey, Michael, why don't you hit that link up and come right in and join us? We're just talking about recording studios, and we've covered about 5 of them. We're getting to number 6 right now. So the link is up, and jump aboard, Michael Noland. Yeah, let's see. How important is mixing board? Listen to Abbey Road. It was mixed on a solid state board. The result was that clean sound of the album. But then there is an argument for tubes. There's always an argument for tubes,
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Where are we at now? Well, the chat's going so fast I can't even keep up. But that's a good thing. Absolutely. Every time I look down, it's like I gotta scroll a whole bunch. So anyway, Michael, the link is up. Come on, jump on the show. We've been expecting you.
I mean, this is such a knowledgeable crew. Of course, the chat is always awesome.
Right. Okay, so we'll jump to the next one, and let's see, Michael. The bottom line. Thanks, Caitlin. Okay, like I said, Michael, we've got a link up. I'll put it on one more time for you because the chat's moving pretty quick. It can fly right over your head. So there's the link. There's the link. Hit it, and you're on. So let's move on now to Ocean Way.
I think Michael said he's not feeling well. That's why.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that part. Oh, sorry, Mike. Oh, here it is. I'm sick today, my friend, but I'm a peanut tonight.
Hope you get better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
hope you get better. Sorry to hear that. Yeah. I sent the message to you a couple of times, but maybe they didn't get through. But you're not feeling well. Okay. Here's my buddy Steve Midtham.
He's
Hi,
with
Steve.
us in spirit.
Good to see you, buddy. Okay, so let's do this. Ocean Way Recording Studio in Los Angeles, founded by legendary engineer Alan Sides. Ocean Way offers incredible sound quality, state-of-the-art equipment for both analog and digital recordings. How about that? The iconic studio has hosted some of the world's most successful bands and solo artists, such as Michael Jackson, Elton John, and Rod Stewart. Oh, man. I mean, you know what? I can't say I was never a fan of Michael Jackson, of course, during the Thriller era and stuff like that. But when I was growing up, he was in the Jackson 5. He's like 5 years old or something, right?
Yeah.
And I'm listening to Led Zeppelin. I mean, how could I be a fan of that? I'm listening to Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath. I'm going to listen to ABC 1, 2, 3.
The teeny bopper stuff at the time.
Yeah, it was teeny bopper stuff, right? And I remember one time I was walking uptown on my way to the Polar Queen to find out what was happening, where the parties were and shit. And a couple of the guys I knew from school picked me up, and Michael Jackson was just blasting, or the Jackson 5 was. And one of them, and I was in the back seat, and one of them looked at the other and said, "About time Michael came out with a good song." I almost said, "Let me out. I'll walk the rest of the way." I don't care how cold it is outside. But anyway, later in life, I got to tell you, I really learned to appreciate his talent. he was really talented. He can't take anything away from his talent.
Yeah, growing up in the 70s, I was someone that, listened more to the Jackson 5. I was kind of like that right age
Yeah,
for it.
well, yeah, right.
And then growing
right.
up with him, it was interesting because then, he's one of those few that made that transition to
Yeah.
adult artists, and seeing that development from like Off the Wall, and then obviously the Stratosphere with Thriller.
Right. Yeah.
And all the way through, he made great records, and like you said, just a great overall all-rounder, entertainer.
Yeah. His Neverland Ranch, we go by it all the time going out to Santa Ynez, and we've never actually turned up the road and went up to it. When my kids were little and they were all watching Thriller on MTV, all the videos and stuff, I got to be pretty decent moonwalking, and I wanted to
see that.
And I practiced a lot. I started trying, and I bought the sequence glove, the sequence socks, and just to amuse my kids. I did a lot of crazy, stupid things to amuse my kids, but that's what we do. And I always wanted to go over to the Neverland Ranch, go out in front of the gate, and have somebody film me moonwalking. Every time I try, I practically fall on my face now. So it's probably never going to happen.
That place has like a haunting quality now. It just looks like abandoned. I don't know kind of what the current state of it is, but I know for a while there was just, it's kind of spooky, like any abandoned place looks, it just.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, good evening, Eddie. Eddie Physical Media Talk. We got Eddie in the house, everyone. Say hi to Eddie. I love going to Eddie's show. He plays some of the most amazing music. A lot of it's stuff I haven't heard before, but every bit of it I like from the beginning to end. And it's really cool. I really enjoy going there.
Yeah, Eddie's great.
Yeah, he is. He's just saying hi, Vance.
Yeah,
is that what you like? Okay, I knew
that's
it was. I just I'm used to saying Zepp for some reason.
I know everybody is. That's okay. Or V or VK. You never know who I'm going to be today.
All right, good to see you here, Vance, and it's good to see Eddie here, and Mary Jane, Steve Midtham. Haven't seen you in a little while, Steve. Good to see you, buddy. Of course, Michael Nolan, a regular co-host on the show, and we always what Royce does the moonwalk to the soundtrack "Walking on the Moon" by Police.
Love it.
That's great, Michael. That's great, buddy. Yeah, I'm just wondering, I've got this new set of headsets. I just got them this week. I've got this new microphone that I've never, ever used before that I've had for almost a year. And I would love to hear anybody tell me. Bruce has already told me it's coming through good.
Yeah.
But anybody want to comment on whether or not the voice is good, or you guys come in crystal clear with these headsets on. I'm still not convinced I want to do this. I have this little all-in-one Logitech that mounts to the top of my monitor. It films me. It's speakers and it's everything, all in one. It's about this big, Right now it's like, I've got these things clamped to my head, got a big mic here. Anyway, we'll see.
You're going pro. It really gives your voice is a lot fuller. I'll say that.
Oh, good. That's what I was hoping.
Yeah.
I was Michael Nolan. Michael, you character. Hi, Eddie. Okay, so anyway, yeah, Michael Nolan, folks. I mean, what a show! I mean, explosive growth because it's good. There's no other explanation. It's the three things: content, and content. And Michael's got it dialed in, and he's got just a great show. I watched that new video today, Michael. I left you a couple of messages on the show tonight, but sorry you're not feeling well. So anyway, let's move on. We talked about Ocean Way Recording Studio in Los Angeles, and I mentioned the artist Michael Jackson, Elton John, and Rod Stewart. I explained that I wasn't an instant fan of Michael Jackson by any stretch, but I was always a fan of Elton John, and I was always a fan of Rod Stewart. The other two names I mentioned. I've seen Rod Stewart in concert at the Santa Barbara Bowl, Santa Barbara, California. It's about an hour and a half ride from where I live. And great show. He'd just broken his foot playing soccer. He had it in a cast, and he wasn't supposed to be walking on it, but he he was up and he was stomping around on his cast doing his thing.
What
And
a pro.
I guess for the next couple of shows, he had to stay seated because it hurt so bad after that night. But that was a great show. The Santa Barbara Bowl's a real trip. You know, there really aren't any bad seats, but there also isn't any parking. You park in whatever residential neighborhood you can find a curbside to pull up against, and then you walk for like a mile to get there, right? But so that's kind of interesting. But they have a lot of good shows. He's been back since we saw him maybe 3 years ago. And Elton John, of course, I saw Elton John. I grew up just outside of Las Vegas. Las Vegas Convention Center is where we saw most of our concerts. Although I saw Jethro Tull at the Ice Palace, which was an ice skating rink. And there were some other venues. Some of the casinos had some venues. I saw War there, one of the casinos, and Fights. The name of the band that was there, War. Everybody knows War.
Yeah.
But fights were breaking out. The West Side turned out, you know, and about every 20 minutes a fight would break out over there, you know. Yeah. And so that was kind of a trip. But Elton John was great. You know, it was like 1970, maybe one or two. I can't remember. But he came out and he wore these gigantic sunglasses, you know, about as big as you could possibly put on your face. And between each song, he'd change pairs of sunglasses, right? And then later, now this has been maybe 5 years now, my wife and I were sent tickets by Caesar's Palace in Vegas to see Elton John at the Forum.
Wow.
And it was the $1 Million Piano Show. They gave us the tickets for free, gave us a free night there and stuff like that. And of course, we reimbursed them a few times over, probably. But we saw him in the $1 Million Piano, an amazing show, huge band, you know, about three drum sets back there and congos and all kinds of stuff. Big band, huge screen behind him with a moving scene that coincided with whatever song he was doing, you know. And that same thing was built into the band of his piano. The screen behind him was moving, the same scenes going around the band of the piano. I guess that's why they call it the $1 Million Piano. Maybe it took that much to build. I don't know. But it was a great show, a really good show. So I've never had a bad experience watching Elton John, and Rod Stewart's great too. So that was Ocean Way Recording Studios in Los Angeles, California. Now we're going to move to Blackbird Studios in Nashville. And Blackbird Studios was started by John McBride and Martina McBride. And we know her from country music fame. And Blackbird Studio has become one of the most successful recording studios in Nashville. Artists such as Taylor Swift, the Rolling Stones, and Coldplay have all recorded at this iconic studio. Now, do we have any Taylor Swift fans out there? I mean, she is massive. Nothing but sold out shows. But you know what? You know,
Michael Nolan.
Michael Nolan.
Yeah, Michael Nolan's a huge Taylor Swift fan, from what I understand.
Oh, okay. Right. I didn't know that. I didn't. Probably Harry Styles.
That's why he's not. That's not why he's not feeling well. He lost his voice.
Okay, Royce is dressed up as the Godfather. Can you even begin to imagine? Oh, me too, Caitlin. Especially if I'm dressed up as the Godfather.
There's a studio I did visit in Nashville. It was the RCA studio.
Oh, okay.
RCA studio. I think Elvis recorded a lot of his RCA material there, and they did a tour of that too. And like Sinatra was in there, and all these guys. That was another one where you're sitting in that room, and they'll play that music over the speakers, and it just gives you a chill, man.
Yeah.
So it's such a, and then there's chess here in Chicago as well, or was.
Yes.
That's funny. Okay, so now we move on to Bearville Studio in, of all places, Woodstock, New York. Yeah. Have you been there, Vance?
No, I have not, but I know it through the Todd Rundgren stuff. And
yeah, located in an old dairy barn, like everything else in Woodstock, right? Okay, Bearsville has been the home of some of the greatest artists, including Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan's been everywhere.
Yeah.
And Led Zeppelin, who both recorded albums here.
They went up there. Yep.
I wonder do you know what album Led Zeppelin recorded?
I don't know if they did some mixing up there. I don't think they did a full album up there, but
we'll throw that out to Michael. He's got to know that for sure.
Yeah, I might know that a little. I mean, I'm not all up on the actual places, but because when on the second album, they were mixing and recording that on tour. So any kind of studio they could stop at, So
Okay.
I don't think Bearsville
Okay.
was open by then, but maybe it was. I don't know the history of Bearsville that well. I just know like Rundgren went up there, and
Okay.
Fogg and some other bands went up there.
Michael Nolan's talking about an intervention. Don't go near the Vegas monster. Caitlin's walk.
Walk away.
We love you. Don't. Okay. Hey, Psycho's Platter just joined us, folks. Psycho's a great guy, and let's all go check him out. Let's subscribe if we haven't already. I have subscribed. I pop in whenever I can. I've got a real busy work schedule. I've worked. Let me see. I worked Monday through Sunday this week. I worked today and didn't get home till 4:00. Deadlines. I'm trying to get this job completed by Tuesday. I'm always trying to get a job completed by the billing cutoff.
Oh yeah, sure.
So we work 7 straight days to try to hit that, and then I'll wind up having several days off. So that's when I'll sit down and really grind out some shows. Okay. So anyway, Psycho, thanks for showing up, buddy. Good to see you in the chat. Jeff Davidson. Jeff Davidson. I've got him highlighted on the screen right now. You got to know this. Jeff Davidson was my inspiration to do my very first YouTube video.
Wow.
We were on another show together, and it was a vinyl competition. And Jeff Davidson and I were like, mano a mano. And I think I won the first round. We had to show 3 albums. He won the second round. The second round, I got ridiculous. I did this long Godfather soundtrack where I told this big, long story about my family from New York, and people were getting really restless. and so Jeff won that round, deservedly so. And then the crazy thing was, I had one of the Use Your Illusion albums from Guns N' Roses, and my daughter had one. Well, I had mine in my box under G for Guns N' Roses. So I was telling the story how I went to see. I was actually in the video November Rain for Guns N' Roses, the song November Rain. And
cool.
it was advertised that if you wanted to be in a rock video, you had to show up at a certain place in Los Angeles at a certain time, wearing a tuxedo. We're on the construction job. We're building a house, and this younger guy working for me, John Hernandez, says, "This sounds like fun, man. You want to go?" And I'm like, "Why not?" And so we rented tuxedos, went down there. We didn't know until we walked in the door that it was Guns N' Roses, because they wouldn't tell anybody. They didn't want to stop traffic in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
right?
it would have been a mess thing.
So we're sitting there in the Orpheum Theater, and only because my kids were like the biggest Guns N' Roses fan on earth, and I have videos of them doing Patience dressed like Axl with a scarf on their head and singing the song. And so I wanted to get noticed in this video. So every time the camera panned across the sky and went over the top of me, and I looked like a complete idiot. It's no surprise it wound up on the cutting room floor. I would jump up on my seat and start playing air guitar, looking at the camera when it went by.
Oh.
And something totally out of character for me, right?
So you can't see yourself in the video at all?
Well, John swears he can see us sitting
Yeah?
down, but none of that me standing up stuff, man. That hit the cutting room floor quickly.
Yeah, the director's like, who let this guy in?
So I was telling the story. I almost forgot where I was going with all this. So Jeff and I were in this vinyl competition, and I was telling the story about what I just told now, right? A little more detail. And so I went to pull the album out, and I pulled out the wrong one, the one my daughter had stuck in there without telling me. There was Use Your Illusions 1 and 2. They both came out at the same time. I pulled out the wrong one. and Ed Stasium, who was a co-host on the show that we were there, he's a vaultmeister for, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. I got a picture of him hanging in my entry hall. I can't think. Zappa. Frank Zappa. Stasium was his drummer, and he's the vault master that takes care of all the tape that's never made it onto vinyl, And Stasium goes, no, disqualified, because I pulled the wrong album out. I was like, oh. Anyway, but Jeff kicked my ass on that. It was cool, and so he won the vinyl from what was the name of that record company, Jeff? It was something records. They would give you 3 or 4 albums you could choose from, whoever won each competition. So Jeff won, and he goes, Royce, I've won before. Go ahead, you pick the album. I'm like, what are you talking about? You won. to the victor goes the spoils. Pick your album, bro. And he goes, no, I want you to pick it, which I thought was real generous of him. So I picked the album. Jeff won the competition. I picked the album, and everybody went home happy.
A true gentleman.
A true gentleman. I really appreciated that. And so that was cool. So anyway, how did I even get started on that shit? Okay. So let's talk about, we talked about the Woodstock, New York, Bearsville Studios. Bob Dylan, Zeppelin both performed there, recorded there, I should say. Now let's talk about Sound City Recording Studios in Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah.
An LA institution since 1969, best known for its role in the recording of the iconic Nirvana album, Nevermind. I have that album. Is what the one album I really love by Nirvana is their MTV Unplugged. I'll put that. I've got the double album set, but I'll put the CD. I'll put the CD in my truck. It might sit in there for weeks. I just listen to it over and over again. It's not like I'm in my truck 24 hours a day. I take a 5-minute, 10-minute drive someplace, but I'll just leave it in there for just really long periods of time. I really enjoy that. So I like Nirvana, but anyway, so best known for their role in recording the iconic Nirvana album, Nevermind.
Also,
Go ahead.
Fleetwood Mac's Rumors.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I don't know if you've seen that documentary. I suggest you do, Roy. Is called Sound City.
It's great.
That's about the studio. You could find it. I think it's free on YouTube with some ads, or you could find it in a lot of places.
Sound City. No, I have not seen that.
Yeah, you'd be blown away when they start throwing down those records. You'd be like, "Oh my God, how many records they've recorded there?" It's
Sound City.
And he interviews everyone. I mean, he got so many major names on that documentary.
Yeah, and then the first part's kind of the history about the studio and everything, and then they go and they record stuff with this mixing board that Dave ends up buying.
Okay, Sound City. What was the name again of that?
That's it. It's just the documentary is called Sound City.
Sound City. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the place was a dump.
Oh yeah, it's great. I mean, I love the story.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, shag carpeting and all that. But it's a great story. I love the story, and like I said, you'll be blown away when they start naming off these records.
Gotcha.
And it represents that era in recording.
Yeah,
digital stuff came in too. So it's no frills, but it's what you really think of when you think of like that old school, just meat and potatoes type studio that just had that glorious sound.
Analog tape. Man.
Right. Yeah, we were talking about Taylor Swift earlier, and she was in Minneapolis for the past 2 nights, 70,000 fans each night. And you know what? I remember when she first started, and it was like she'd be singing about her rival, being the cheer captain while she's on the bleachers and stuff like that. And I just didn't get it. You know what I'm saying? And it was super teeny bop to me. But I think this is just my theory. Okay. First we had, the girls that came from Disney, like, Britney Spears and Martina Aguilera. Weren't they both Mouseketeers or something like that?
Yeah.
Disney? Yeah. Okay.
Mouse Club.
So they came out and they were wholesome Mouseketeers, and the mothers of America were standing in line to buy their albums for their little girls. Then the next thing you knew, they were both nude on stage.
Yeah.
I mean, wearing next to nothing. So the mothers of America weren't really trying to push that so much anymore. And then you had Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana. That's the equivalent of a Mouseketeer.
Yeah.
And the mothers were standing in line once again to happily buy their daughters' Hannah Montana albums. And then all of a sudden she was doing this wrecking ball stuff and
twerking
and those videos that were just like, oh my God. Anyway, I mean, I didn't mind them at all, but the mothers of America who were buying this music for their daughters minded it. So the next thing you know, here comes Taylor Swift. Then Taylor Swift is now the new, heir apparent to that throne that is okay for the mothers to buy their albums for their daughters for, And I mean, that's kind of my theory of why she's so big. There's nobody else like that. Kind of.
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
know.
she's a 30-something who still kind of, tries to pass herself off as like this kind of the spirit of a teenager kind of thing.
Right,
And
right.
that's who she appeals to. And there's no denying the appeal because she just did 2 nights here in Chicago, sold out Soldier Field,
It's huge.
60,000, per
She
night. So I mean,
sells out every one of them.
every
Yeah.
stadium, it's a
Yeah,
strictly stadium tour. So
And it was one of the
right.
first times. Did you see any of the footage, Bruce? There were fans sitting outside of the stadium in the grass in the park,
yeah,
listening and singing songs. They can't, they're not even in there. So it was
Right.
that because they're just going to hear the music coming out.
yeah,
Right,
she's
So I
definitely
never
right,
really
tapped
seen
into
that much.
an audience for sure.
When they're sitting outside and they're in the parking lot, they don't even have tickets. They're sitting out in the grass and stuff outside the Soldiers Field. It was,
right.
I don't see, you don't see that too much.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
all you hear a lot
no.
of stories too about like her fans and the stuff they're going through to try to get these tickets.
Oh, the Ticketmaster debacle. Yeah, they shut down the
Oh,
servers.
God.
Yeah, the servers got shut down. It was a whole. They're raised a stink. Actually, the Taylor Swift fans made a stink about it, and they took it
Right.
to investigate it.
Right,
with
right.
Ticketmaster. So
yeah,
Well, those agencies, those ticket agencies, just really rip us off. I mean, every time I go to buy seats, I'll pick the seats I want. They're priced, but then all of a sudden, we get to the total at the bottom of the page, and it's like
here come the
50,
fees.
50% more than what
Yeah.
I was, buying. And then I find out that somebody was reselling them. They weren't even the original.
Right.
I wasn't even the first time buyer of those. They don't tell you that, and you just get ripped off. Right?
they call it the premium.
We have some really good shows coming here locally. We got the Paso Robles Fair, and Sammy Hagar just announced he's going to be there.
Oh, he's good still. Puts
Yeah, no, that'd be a fun one to see. But they're around $200 and stuff, And you're only going to get to see some of these people, maybe the last chance. I missed Santana and John Fogerty last year at the fairgrounds, and I'm still kind of bummed about that. But I've loved Santana since Woodstock, and I've loved Fogerty. Fogerty, I mean, not Disraeli Gears, those Cream, but the first 2 8-tracks I ever bought were Disraeli Gears Cream and Bayou Country, CCNR, when I was 16 years old, and I've been a fan of both ever since. But
not
anyway,
a bad way to go with either of those, that's for sure.
No, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And like I said, I still listen to them today, and relatively frequently.
Yeah,
Love those
Fogerty is
bands.
always someone who's on my list to see. The problem is he's coming by us, Ravinia, but Ravinia is a hard venue getting in and out of, especially at the end of the night. 'cause
Okay.
You have to park
okay.
somewhere, and then you bus in, and then
Yeah.
at the end of the night, it's a nightmare. And I would love to see Fogerty, especially on this tour, which is really a celebratory thing for him, having gotten the rights to his music back.
Gotten the rights to his music back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
just up at Alpine Valley last night. Have you been up there? Probably,
Yeah.
Bruce.
I
Yeah, that's a
yeah.
parking lot to get out of.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Well, you want to see a town to get out of? Go to the fireworks show in Cayucas, California, over on the beach. You spend an hour and a half trying to get out of town, and it's a little tiny town too. So anyway, let's see. What do we have next? Okay, this may be my favorite, to be honest with you, because I want to say there was a period of time where me and my friends were listening to, I won't say exclusively soul music, but we fell into a little area there where we'd park out in the desert and pass around a bottle of jug of wine. If we're really broke, it'd be a gallon of Red Mountain. If not, we would be styling and profiling with some Colt 45 or something, and maybe doing some other things at the same time. But we sat out there and listened to soul music, baby. And I have been a soul music fan my whole life. I've seen the Temptations and the Four Tops together in concert twice.
Wow.
Where they both came out and did their sets, then came out together. And that was a real highlight because it'd been a long time since I was a huge fan of soul music. It never goes away. Once you're a fan, you're always a fan.
Yeah.
It's always there. I mean, Wilson Pickett, Percy Sledge, Mustang Sally, all of them. I mean, Junior Walker and the All Stars. One of the funnest videos you can watch on YouTube, for me anyway, since I'm a huge Jimi Hendrix fan. I used to listen to Junior Walker and the All Stars parked out in the deserts of Nevada, with my buddies is the video with Jimi Hendrix playing for Junior Walker and the All Stars, and we're used to the real Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Here's a guy in a suit, and him and the rest of the band are in cadence.
Yeah.
He's playing. Oop, there goes the microphone. Anyway, so he's just going back and forth with the rest of the band, and I tell you what, if just look it up on YouTube, Jimi Hendrix playing with Junior Walker in the All Stars video, and if you don't fall out of your chair laughing, not so much Jimi Hendrix, but the way the two guys, Junior Walker, is up there dancing. I mean, it's just hilarious the way they're dancing. They're leaping around and pretending to pump shotguns and all this stuff, and it's just it's almost more than you can take funny, to be honest with you. Okay, so anyway, so this is the Motown studio in Detroit, founded by Berry Gordy Jr., I should say, 1959. Motown Records is one of the most influential record labels of all time, with an impressive roster that includes Stevie Wonder, the Supremes, Marvin Gaye, who recorded some of the biggest hits at Motown. This iconic studio was recently renovated and is now open to visitors as a museum, kind of like the other studio we talked about. The iconic studio was recently renovated, open as a museum, dedicated to preserving the legacy of Motown music. So anyway, that's pretty much what I had on my list. I mentioned I visited Trident Studio when I was over in London. They were closed, but there was, like I said, a big plaque that had David Bowie's name on it, and there was a list of other artists that had recorded there and stuff like that. So that was a fun time. So does anybody have a studio that they would like to bring up?
Well, I think we haven't talked about Sunset Sound. I think that's
Sunset,
another.
Okay.
Shoals, yeah.
Okay.
Shows.
Yeah.
I mean, Sunset Sound is huge. I mean, I wish I just had that list of people who recorded there, because it's the who's who of everyone you could think of. As the Who, Led Zeppelin, Fleetwood Mac, McCartney, Ringo, I think recorded there. I mean, it's like, especially that 70s era, it's like your all-star list of people who recorded there. And then later on, Prince as well.
Yeah. And then you have the Paisley Park, but that, you can talk about that.
Oh, yeah, Paisley Park's another studio, yeah.
Muscle Shoals, I mean, that was big place. Leonard Skinner, you had Aretha Franklin down there. Some great bands that came out of that area.
Air Studios, too, that George Martin built. That was kind of like a nice place in the 80s, because, it was like, like a paradise location.
Right.
And, you had the Police recording there, and, a lot of other acts at the time. So...
I'll throw this out there. There's Polar Studios, which was owned by ABBA, and Led Zeppelin recorded their Into the Outdoor album there.
And
yes. There's a guy that's done a great documentary on that, and his channel is JCM Led Zeppelin Stories, and it was the making of Into the Outdoor. So he talks a lot about that studio, but that's they got that ABBA sound out of that. That's the Polar Studios in Sweden.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah.
And all these places, again, they're woven into the fabric of the stories and the music. It's like equally legendary.
It's just as important as any instrument or the members of the band. I mean, it's that's what I was kind of saying before about that.
For sure.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, there's so many studios out there. It's hard to keep track of them all. I just threw a little list together to throw out just for discussion.
Yeah, there's a documentary called Under the Volcano, and that one does discuss the Air Studios, because that was also, it was located by a volcano, and eventually, got destroyed by that as well. So it was kind of
really,
yeah. So it's a good story, kind of a, very interesting behind that.
Now, where was this at again? Was it the Big Island or something?
Montserrat. So,
okay. Yeah. Okay. Huh. Yeah, Swift is making millions, all right. I wasn't really a fan of hers until the last couple of albums of hers. Her songwriting is much improved, has created a more sonically interesting song. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe we'll all wind up fans. Who knows? Michael Nolan will be the first one. No kidding. We are losing millions. A UK Nirvana in the 60s. There was also a UK Nirvana in the 60s. Wow. Does anybody know what he means about that
That
There's
exactly?
sounds
another,
vaguely
another
familiar.
band. Yeah, there was another band called that.
Okay, I didn't know that. Thank you,
Yeah.
Dave. Appreciate you saying that. That's an interesting fact there.
Well, it's a great band name, so it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. No,
I
that is
didn't
a
learn
great band name.
I learned about Nirvana through Robert Plant when he released that Manic Nirvana album. I heard somebody said, "Yeah, there's a new band called Nirvana too," and at that time it wasn't really new. They had that Bleach album, but I'm like, oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I was like,
I
oh, there's
like
a band Nirvana. Let me go check them out, and then
Then they
then
blow up.
the year later that Nevermind came out. But yeah,
Right. Well, that Bleach album, I guess that's really the collector item out there that's hard to come by.
yeah, you find a Sub Pop,
An original.
a Sub Pop on the Sub Pop label. Yeah, those are
Yeah.
Is that the label, Sub Pop?
yeah,
Yeah.
out of Seattle is the independent label.
Okay.
You find it on
Okay.
that one. Those get in the hundreds of dollars. Yeah.
Right. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have a few hundred albums, and a few hundred CDs, and I don't know. I've lost a lot of albums over the years. Things happen to them, or I finally got them out to play and they've been stacked wrong and they're not playing right. I didn't have anything to play albums on for many, many years. I don't know about you guys, but it started out, everybody had a record player.
Yeah.
My parents had two. One was built into the TV cabinet, and the other one looked like a little suitcase. You unbuckle these things and swung the speakers out, and would play all. I mean, they had Elvis albums. I still have some of their albums. That Elvis. My dad was a huge fan of Hank Williams Sr.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget. He was a huge country fan. He was always trying to get me and my brother to listen to country music when we were kids. And my mother, of course, she was from New York, and she liked, Bing Crosby and Perry Como and these kinds of people. And so one day we're sitting in this little place having breakfast, and each one's got a little tiny, like a little tiny jukebox that you can play your own songs on. But there was a big jukebox too, and it was playing Johnny Cash, "Ring of Fire." And and everywhere you went, Ring of Fire was playing. It was just huge. And I looked at my dad and I go, "Hey, Dad, you like Johnny Cash?" I don't know. I was maybe 10, 11 years old. He goes, "No, not really." I go, "What?" I said, "I thought you were a country music fan." He goes, "Well, his songs are okay, but I said, "Well, why don't you like him then?" He goes, "He's a hophead."
Oh, jeez.
It's the first time I ever heard of that. I bet he was sorry he ever brought it up. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm hearing
All
about
right.
a lot of vinyl collectors who actually don't even have vinyl player.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Turntable. Yeah. It's
Lately,
just really,
yeah.
It's become more of a culture of collecting, which I find
it's
so
like they don't-
fascinating too, because it's like, when you think back to when we were teenagers playing these records, it was always on those little suitcase, crappy players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had like Craig stereo, the stackable.
Did the stack? Yeah, they
with
came
the
in
8-track in it. It was just like a one big unit, solid thing. Radio.
Now you have
Yeah,
these crazy audiophile systems that are
Oh.
insane, and everyone's wrapping their
yeah,
vinyl 10
yeah.
times over.
Well,
$5,000 stylus.
Yeah, I'm still happy with the one that I have. I bought this probably 20 years ago. A friend of mine's son was working at Best Buy. Maybe it wasn't quite that long ago. We went down and bought our first big screen TV. I bought this huge Yamaha 7.2 surround sound amp with clip speakers, the 3 forward ones, 2 in the back, and then a big subwoofer. And then I bought this all at the same time. I spent like $7,000 or something. I bought this carousel of 400 CDs or DVDs. You really had to keep track of what was in there and where it was at. And but I never had a record player until probably 2.5 years ago. I hadn't had one in years. I just bought an Audio Technica USB 120 or whatever it's
those
called.
are good.
Yeah,
But
those
yeah,
are
no, it's
popular.
good though. I like it. It wasn't that expensive. I think I bought it at Boo Boo Records. So I'd recently made a tour of Boo Boo Records video about.
That was awesome. That video too.
Thank you. That's a fun place.
Great
Man. They have
store.
everything in the world there. You can buy a lunch pail from almost every rock star you've ever heard of. I think that's so much stuff in there. But anyway, really well stocked when it comes to the albums and stuff. Jimi Hendrix albums I haven't even seen before, and I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of that stuff out there.
My turntable I've had since 1985. It's a Denon DP35.
Oh,
And
Denon was
it's
always a
solid.
good brand.
I've had it since '85.
Right.
Still working. And
I have not had a problem with it. Other, I changed the stylus, the needles, but
that's very cool.
So I hope I don't jinx it, but I got to back up a Kai in my parents' basement, but it's I've my records were in storage for a good 6 years or so, but I mean I've had, I grew up with records, so got my since the 70s, so.
Right.
I never got rid of them. I never sold them when the CDs came around. I didn't buy as much when the CDs came around, but
see, I made that mistake. That was the bad mistake I made. Was like, I lost that, and so I'm probably like how everyone here feels is like I'm so appreciative as an original fan of vinyl that we have this now era of all the reissues that have come back because I've been able to get stuff that even originally I didn't have good copies of and stuff. So yeah.
Hello, Novice Nick. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it. Good to see you. Okay, so anyway, what were we talking about? We were talking about.
Did you hit all the 10 studios you had listed, or how many?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we're just throwing out other studios that come to mind.
Yeah, we're throwing out other things. Sure. I believe my next concert is Freaks on Parade. Okay, I know what I was mentioning. We also have the Jason Bonham Led Zeppelin Experience or whatever he's calling it.
Oh, go see that. I've seen him a couple times.
And that's $55. I can see that.
Oh, that's not bad.
Vina Robles Amphitheater, no really bad seats,
Not a bad price.
I've seen him a couple times. And
okay, I wanted to ask if anybody had seen them and what if
does
they thought it was
great job. The band sounds great, and then he tells stories in between songs that I think you get a real kick out of.
Oh, that would be worth the admission right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely, if you can, go check them out.
Yeah, I can. That's the last time I was there. It was in previous April, not this recent April, and I saw Alice Cooper, and what a wonderful show that was. I had so much fun there. And good seats. Good seats.
Absolutely.
Look at that. Dan bought Ringo Starr tickets for $300 each. Okay, wow. Yeah, he's coming to Vina Robles Amphitheater also.
I think in
August.
Chicago Theater.
Yeah.
Really?
I thought,
something like that, right?
Like that's like his regular place. I know he's played there a couple of times.
I've seen him a couple years ago there. And actually, the only time I went to Ravinia, because I'm not a real big fan of that, I saw Ringo there. I just never understood that lawn. It's like you can't see the stage. Why would I could watch a DVD? I could watch a DVD in my backyard.
Yeah,
DVD in the backyard and have cheese and crackers. Well, I can't see the stage.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, good seats will spoil you fast after that. Forget about it. I went to a concert, and people think I'm crazy, but we went to a concert. We were down on the floor, which were considered more expensive seats. And when the first note was struck, everybody in front of us, all the way to the stage, was standing on their chair.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I think when the second song hit, we walked out. We could hear it fine outside. We couldn't see it anyway.
Yeah, and the problem with like Ravinia, again, like he was saying, is it's not even like your typical. It's not like a shed where even if you're on the lawn, you can see some of the show. You don't see anything, so you're there to picnic and listen more than anything else.
I just
right.
I just never understood. I'm a guy. I want to see the stage. So
I know.
Last night I was up at Alpine Valley, and I like you're saying about seats make a difference. I had seventh row for Willie Nelson, Robert Plant, Alison Krauss, and Trampled by Turtles, and a couple other people, and it was fantastic. But being that close makes such a difference,
It makes all the difference.
It really you block out everybody behind you really into the show.
Yeah, we've had some like second row seats and stuff like that, and once you've done that a few times up that close, it's hard to go back to sitting. We've also sat almost behind the stage, in the bleachers.
To me, it kind of depends on what kind of show it is too, because some shows you want to be close. I don't mind if it's like more of a multimedia show. I don't mind being sort of a little bit back where you're seeing more of the presentation.
Big stage.
Overall. So,
yeah.
That's like when I saw Rammstein, if you guys know the German metal band.
Yeah.
When they played Soldiers Field, it was better to be back because it's just such an extravagant, just flames going off and all kinds of visual stuff going on.
Right.
If you were up close, you're not going to be able to see over there. You're not.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Boy, there's so many concerts going. Everybody's on tour right now. Everybody. You know, if they can walk, and even if they can't, they're
They're
on
trying to
tour.
make up for those other 2 years that they lost.
That's exactly
sure.
what it was. We had tickets to see the Rolling Stones in San Diego. We had booked the room. We booked a flight, and we're not that far. We can drive there in 4 or 5 hours. We live on the Central California coast. San Diego is just south of us. But anyway, so we were all set to go, and COVID hit. And as time went on, we thought, let's get our money back. This bullshit. And we started calling the ticket master, whoever it was, and they were going, well, it wasn't canceled. It was just postponed. We don't give money back on a postponement. And so we waited, and I called again, and it was like, well, it was just postponed. And so we waited a little while, and I called again. Oh, you missed the window. We sent you an email. You didn't respond. You don't get your money back now. You missed the window of time.
That's BS.
And so I had to turn my secret weapon loose on him, my wife, and the money was redeposited into our account the next day, into our credit card.
That's good.
Yeah.
I must have had at least a good 12 to 15 shows that got screwed up from that. And I had travel shows for Pearl Jam with hotels and all that.
Oh man.
But, and so it turned, I got refunds or, switch dates or, I think the Rage Against the Machine show, they moved back like every year until like last summer it was, I think it was,
Right.
Yeah, brother eventually made it to that, but I know that got postponed, like you said.
Yeah, it was like, okay, we're gonna do it this summer. No, we're gonna do it next summer.
Yeah, and speaking of studios, I was actually gonna visit Sun Studios the year that COVID breaks. So it's like shortly before that, I planned a trip to Memphis, and that got shot because of that.
Have you made it down there yet? Or?
No, I still plan to. It's on the list for sure because I want to visit Graceland, visit Sun Studios, all that stuff that's there.
The one thing I didn't do was the Stax thing, and I wish I did. I need to go back and do Stax.
Yeah.
And there's another studio, Stax. We didn't talk about that, but
that's right.
Stax Records, yeah.
That's a good price for tickets right there. $60 for Aerosmith.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'd take that.
You can't. That's like double, and that's up the upper deck at the United Center for that show.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like 120 for like section 300 in the top.
Yeah. Tickets have gotten really expensive.
The problem is people are paying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. People are paying it. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Nobody was paying it.
Because if you see those stadiums are not filling up, you watch those prices are going to start coming down. You'd be like, oh, isn't that fun?
Right. Right. Exactly.
We're going on concerts. We're talking studios.
No worries.
No worries.
It gets that's always the case. We just kind of drift off. It's all good. Well, folks, we just hit a little over an hour now, so I think we're gonna go ahead and hang it up. And I want to thank you, Vance and Bruce, for joining and helping me.
Nice talking with you, Bruce. Thanks
for
this, Royce.
Yeah, great. I'm glad you came on. Bruce, always a pleasure. Bruce has been co-hosting regularly along with Dan and Michael Nolan. Dan's been a little under the weather, has had some procedures done recently, and I'm just real happy he came into the chat and hung out with us, but can't wait to get you back on the big screen, the big little screen. Anyway, Jeff Davidson, Caitlin, oh my God, Mary Jane, all my buddies are here. And I just want to thank everybody. Michael's here. Michael's been in the chat. Couldn't get him to come on the screen, but that's okay. We've been on plenty together. Almost every week. He's worn out
from that Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah, he's resting up for some of the others,
He's folding all of his T-shirts that he bought. And
right, folding his T-shirts. Yeah, these T-shirts are like $50 at the Alice Cooper concert, and so I googled them. And it was exact same T-shirt, same company, same everything. It was like $22. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for helping me out. And I want to thank everybody in the chat. Wouldn't have a show without you guys. Really appreciate everybody. And that's what's happening in Royce's world today. Good night, everybody.
Have a great week, everyone.
Good night.